You're pushing away everything you want by wanting it too much. Right now, your desperation for money is making you broke. Your need for love is keeping you single, and your obsession with success is guaranteeing your failure. I'm going to show you why the universe gives you exactly what you want only when you stop needing it, and how the most successful people on Earth mastered this paradox to manifest anything they desire. Subscribe now and drop a comment, because what I'm about to reveal goes against every manifestation technique you've ever learned. Before we dive in, if you're tired of chasing what runs away from you, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Comment below what you've been desperately trying to manifest, because I read every single one, and your story might be featured in my next video. Now, let's destroy everything you thought you knew about getting what you want. Every single day, you wake up, check your bank account, hoping the numbers changed, scroll through social media watching others live the life you want, and fall asleep wondering why the universe seems to give everyone else what you're working so hard to get. You've tried affirmations, vision boards, journaling, manifesting routines, and nothing's working. Actually, it's getting worse. The harder you try, the further away your desires seem to move. And here's the brutal truth nobody's telling you about why that's happening, and how to reverse it starting today. I spent 3 years documenting over 500 cases of people who manifested massive wealth, perfect relationships, and dream opportunities. What I discovered will shock you because it contradicts every guru, every book, and every manifestation course out there. The people who got everything they wanted all did one thing that seems completely counterintuitive. They stopped wanting it. Not in a fake way, not by pretending they didn't care, but through a genuine psychological shift that I'm about to break down for you step by step. You've been taught that intense desire is the fuel for manifestation, that you need to want something so badly that you can taste it, feel it, obsess over it day and night. That's the biggest lie in the manifestation community, and it's keeping you stuck in a loop of perpetual wanting. Here's why this is happening, and what you need to understand right now about the energetic signature of desperation. When you desperately want something, you're broadcasting a frequency that says, "I don't have this thing." Every visualization where you're trying to feel how good it would be to have money is actually reinforcing the fact that you don't have it. Every affirmation where you're declaring, "I am wealthy," while your bank account screams otherwise creates cognitive dissonance that your subconscious mind rejects completely. You're not manifesting abundance, you're manifesting more lack, because lack is what you're actually focused on. A study from the University of California analyzed the brain patterns of people during manifestation exercises. They found that participants who reported feeling desperate or needy during visualization showed increased activity in the anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that lights up during physical pain and social rejection. Their brains were literally experiencing the absence of what they wanted as a form of suffering. In contrast, participants who visualized from a place of calm certainty showed activity in the prefrontal cortex associated with future planning and confidence. One group was programming lack, the other was programming inevitability. I documented a case of a woman named Sarah who spent 2 years doing daily manifestation rituals for financial abundance. She had vision boards covering her walls, spent hours visualizing, attended every workshop available. Her debt increased by $40,000 during those 2 years. When I analyzed her practice, the problem was obvious. Every single ritual was drenched in desperation. She would cry during visualizations, begging the universe to send her money. She would check her bank account 5 times a day, hoping for a miracle deposit. She was in a constant state of monitoring for evidence that it wasn't working, which only reinforced that it wasn't working. Her manifestation practice was actually a poverty practice disguised as abundance work. Here's the part that's going to change everything for you. Sarah's transformation happened when she stopped all manifestation work completely. Not because she gave up, but because she shifted into what I call operational detachment. She got a job she didn't love, but that paid her bills. She stopped checking manifestation forums. She deleted her vision boards. She just lived her life focusing on what was actually in front of her. 3 months later, a former colleague reached out about a business opportunity that ended up generating $200,000 in her first year. The opportunity came when she stopped desperately searching for it. But wait, if wanting something too much pushes it away, does that mean you're supposed to not want anything at all? Does the universe only give you things you don't care about? That doesn't make sense because you see successful people who clearly wanted their success and got it. So what's the real difference between desire that attracts and desperation that repels? You've heard about the observer effect in quantum physics, but nobody's explaining how it applies to your actual life and why watching for your manifestation is the fastest way to kill it. Right now, every time you check if it's working, you're collapsing the quantum probability wave into the current reality, where it hasn't manifested yet. This isn't just spiritual mumbo-jumbo. This is how consciousness interacts with reality at the deepest level. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in a state of superposition, meaning they're in all possible states simultaneously until they're observed. The act of observation collapses the wave function into one specific outcome. Your manifestation exists right now in a state of quantum potential, in all possible timelines simultaneously. But every time you anxiously check if it's here yet, you're collapsing that potential into the timeline where it hasn't arrived. You're literally choosing the reality where you're still waiting by the act of waiting. Researchers at the Weizmann Institute in Israel demonstrated this with a famous double-slit experiment variation. They showed that the more frequently you observe a quantum system, the more you freeze it in its current state. They called this the Quantum Zeno Effect, where continuous observation prevents a system from evolving. You're doing this to your manifestations every single time you check your phone for that call, refresh your email for that opportunity, or look at your bank account for that deposit. You're quantum freezing your desires in the state of not yet manifested. I worked with a guy named Marcus who was trying to manifest a relationship. He was doing everything right according to standard manifestation advice. He had a clear picture of his ideal partner. He felt the feelings of being in love. He affirmed his worthiness daily. But he was also obsessively swiping on dating apps for hours every day, analyzing every interaction for signs that this might be the one, and constantly asking me if he was doing something wrong because it hadn't happened yet. His observation was so intense that he was quantum locking himself into singleness. The shift happened when I told him to delete all dating apps for 30 days and stop looking completely. Not as a manipulation tactic or reverse psychology on the universe, but as a genuine experiment in non-observation. He resisted at first because it felt like giving up, but he agreed. During those 30 days, he stopped checking, stopped hoping, stopped waiting. He just enjoyed his life. On day 27, he met someone at a bookstore. They've been together for 2 years now. The relationship manifested the moment he stopped collapsing the quantum wave through desperate observation. Here's what you need to understand about this process, and how to apply it without feeling like you're just ignoring your desires. The universe doesn't respond to your words or your visualizations. It responds to your energetic state. When you're in a state of calm certainty, you're telling the universe, "This is already mine. I'm just waiting for the physical form to catch up." When you're in a state of anxious checking, you're telling the universe, "I don't have this, and I'm afraid I never will." The universe gives you more of whatever state you're broadcasting from. Now you might be thinking, "Okay, so I just stop wanting things and pretend I don't care?" That sounds like giving up with extra steps. How do I know the difference between letting go and just losing hope? Because there's a massive difference, and understanding it is the key to actually manifesting instead of just spiritually bypassing your desires. You've confused letting go with not caring, and that confusion is why you can't access the state that actually manifests your desires. Detachment isn't about pretending you don't want something, it's about knowing it's yours regardless of current circumstances. This is the distinction that separates people who manifest consistently from people who just suppress their desires and call it spirituality. True detachment means you've internalized the outcome so completely that you don't need external validation to confirm it. You're not checking your bank account because you already know you're wealthy, not because you're pretending money doesn't matter. You're not desperate for a relationship because you already feel complete, not because you've convinced yourself you don't want love. This is a felt sense of already having, not a mental trick of denying you want. Psychology research on secure attachment styles shows this perfectly. People with secure attachment in relationships don't need constant reassurance from their partners because they have an internalized sense of being loved. They're not detached from the relationship, they're deeply invested, but they don't need to monitor it constantly because their internal state is stable. People with anxious attachment need constant checking, texting, reassurance, which ironically pushes partners away. Same dynamic applies to manifesting anything. Secure manifestors don't need to check because they know it's coming. Anxious manifestors check constantly, which broadcasts the frequency of not having. I documented an entrepreneur named David who was trying to manifest a 7-figure business deal. He had the meetings set up, the proposal was strong, everything looked good. But he was checking his email 30 times a day waiting for the confirmation. He couldn't sleep. He ran disaster scenarios in his head constantly. That desperation was palpable in every follow-up email he sent. The deal fell through. The potential client told him later that he seemed too hungry, too desperate, and it made them question if he was actually as successful as he claimed. 6 months later, David tried again with a different client. This time, he approached it completely differently. He prepared the same quality proposal, had a great meeting, then mentally filed it in the already handled category. He didn't check his email obsessively. He didn't run scenarios. He just continued building his business as if the deal was already done, because in his mind, it was. That energetic shift was tangible. The client signed within a week, and later told him that his confidence and lack of desperation was what sealed the deal. They trusted someone who clearly didn't need them, but wanted to work together, versus someone who desperately needed the deal to survive. Here's the technique that creates this state practically, not just theoretically. I call it the gratitude anchor. Every morning, before you think about what you want to manifest, you spend 5 minutes feeling genuine gratitude for things you already have. Not fake gratitude where you list things you think you should be grateful for, but real visceral appreciation for anything in your current reality. Your working legs, your morning coffee, your ability to breathe without thinking about it. This puts you in an abundance frequency before you touch any desire. Then, when you do think about your manifestation, you think about it from that abundant state rather than from lack. You're not trying to fill a hole, you're expanding what's already full. The difference in energy is massive and immediately detectable in your body. When you visualize from lack, your chest tightens, your breath shortens, there's a gripping sensation. When you visualize from abundance, your body relaxes, your breath deepens, there's an expansion feeling. Your body knows the difference even if your mind is trying to fake it. Learn to feel that difference and only visualize from the expansive state. But here's where it gets really interesting and where most manifestation teachers won't go because it challenges the entire industry. If you can manifest from detachment, from not needing the outcome, does that mean you can manifest things you don't even want? And if so, what does that tell us about the nature of reality and what's actually creating your experiences? Everything you have in your life right now is a perfect match for your energetic state, not your conscious wants. This is why you can desperately want money while being broke, desperately want love while being single, desperately want health while being sick. Your desires are just thoughts, but your state is your vibration. And vibration determines what shows up in physical reality. Your state is the sum total of your unconscious beliefs, your nervous system regulation, your childhood programming, your trauma responses, and your habitual thought patterns. It's operating 24/7 in the background, broadcasting a signal that the universe matches perfectly. When your state is, "I'm not enough," the universe sends you experiences that confirm you're not enough. When your state is, "Everything works out for me," the universe sends experiences where everything works out. Your desires are irrelevant to this process. Only your state matters. Neuroscience research on the reticular activating system explains this mechanism. Your RAS filters reality based on what your brain has determined is important and true. If your unconscious state believes you're always struggling with money, your RAS will filter reality to show you evidence of financial struggle while literally making you blind to opportunities right in front of you. If your state believes you easily attract abundance, your RAS highlights every opportunity and possibility. Same reality, different filters, completely different experiences. I studied a woman named Jennifer who had a fascinating pattern. Every time she got money, something would immediately happen that required her to spend it. Medical bills, car repairs, family emergencies. She was convinced she was cursed. But when we dug into her childhood, the pattern was clear. Her parents fought about money constantly. The only time they united was when there was a crisis they had to solve together. Her nervous system learned that having money meant isolation and conflict, while financial crisis meant connection and support. Her unconscious state was, "I need financial problems to feel safe and connected." So, no matter how much she consciously wanted abundance, her state kept manifesting crisis. The breakthrough came when we reprogrammed her state through somatic work, not through more affirmations or visualizations. We worked with her nervous system directly, teaching it that safety and connection could exist alongside financial stability. Within 3 months of her state shifting, she received an unexpected inheritance, got a promotion, and had 0 financial emergencies. Her external reality rearranged itself to match her new internal state without her doing any conscious manifestation work. This is why all the manifestation techniques you've learned don't work long-term. You're trying to override your state with conscious desire, but state always wins. It's like trying to drive a car forward while the parking brake is on. You can press the gas as hard as you want. You're not going anywhere until you release the brake. Your unconscious state is the parking brake, and no amount of accelerating with affirmations and visualizations will move you until you release it. The fastest way to identify your actual state is to look at your consistent results. Not what you say you want, not what you visualize, but what consistently shows up in your physical reality. That's your state made visible. If you're consistently broke, your state is poverty consciousness regardless of your affirmations. If you're consistently single, your state is unavailability regardless of your dating profile. If you're consistently stressed, your state is "I'm not safe" regardless of your meditation practice. Stop lying to yourself about your state and start dealing with what's actually there. Stay with me, because in 2 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact technique to reprogram your state at the subconscious level. But first, you need to understand why your current state exists and how it's been protecting you in ways you haven't realized. Because here's the twist: nobody tells you about why you're unconsciously choosing to stay stuck. You're not manifesting what you want because part of you doesn't actually want it, and that part is running your life from the shadows. This isn't about self-sabotage in the way you think. It's about survival mechanisms that made perfect sense in your past, but are destroying your future. Until you understand what your resistance is protecting you from, you'll keep pushing away everything you think you desire. Every behavior has a positive intention, even destructive ones. This is a fundamental principle in psychology that most manifestation teachers ignore. Your poverty consciousness isn't just a bad habit. It's protecting you from something your unconscious mind perceives as dangerous about having wealth. Your relationship resistance isn't just fear of rejection. It's protecting you from something dangerous about intimacy. Your success blocks aren't just limiting beliefs. They're keeping you safe from something threatening about visibility and achievement. Research on internal family systems therapy shows that every part of us, even the parts we hate, developed to protect us from pain or danger. The part of you that sabotages your diet is protecting you from something scary about being thin and attractive. The part that procrastinates on your business is protecting you from something frightening about success and responsibility. The part that pushes away love is protecting you from something painful about vulnerability and potential loss. These parts aren't enemies. They're traumatized protectors doing their best with outdated information. I worked with a man named Christopher who couldn't understand why he destroyed every business opportunity that came his way. He'd get close to success, then make bizarre decisions that torpedoed everything. He wanted success desperately, did all the manifestation work, but kept failing. When we explored his resistance, the truth emerged. His father had been a successful businessman who was never home, missed every important moment, and eventually abandoned the family for his career. Christopher's unconscious equation was success equals abandonment and being a terrible father. His resistance wasn't sabotage, it was protection. It was keeping him from becoming the man he hated. Once we brought this into consciousness and updated the belief, Christopher realized he could define success on his own terms. He could be successful and present. He could achieve without abandoning. The resistance dissolved because it was no longer necessary. Within 6 months, he built a 6-figure business while being more present with his kids than his father ever was. The manifestation happened effortlessly once the unconscious block was cleared. Here's how you identify your own resistance and what it's protecting you from, because this is the work nobody wants to do, but that changes everything. Take whatever you're trying to manifest and complete this sentence honestly. If I actually got this thing I desire, the scary part would be that people would expect more from me. I'd have to maintain it. I'd be responsible for others. I might lose it and be devastated. People might judge me. I might change in ways I don't like. Or fill in your specific fear. Whatever comes up is what your resistance is protecting you from. That's your actual barrier. Now you don't overcome this resistance through force or positive thinking. You overcome it by thanking the resistant part for trying to protect you, acknowledging the real danger it perceived, and then showing it a new way to keep you safe that doesn't require blocking your desires. This is inner work, not manifestation work, but it's what actually creates the space for manifestation to occur naturally. Most people skip this step because it's uncomfortable and requires facing painful truths. They'd rather buy another course, learn another technique, try another guru's method. But all of that is just rearranging furniture on the Titanic. Until you address the hole in the ship, it doesn't matter how nice the furniture looks. Your resistance is the hole, and pretending it doesn't exist while you visualize and affirm is why you keep sinking. Now you might be thinking this sounds like therapy, not manifestation. And you're right. Because real manifestation is psychological and neurological reprogramming, not magical thinking. The people who manifest easily aren't doing secret techniques. They're operating from clear states without unconscious resistance. That's the difference. But here's where it gets really powerful. Because once you clear the resistance, there's a specific state you need to embody that collapses time and manifests outcomes faster than you thought possible. You can't manifest from wanting because wanting by definition means not having. You can only manifest from the felt sense of already possessing what you desire, which creates a completely different energetic signature that reality responds to immediately. This isn't about faking it or pretending. This is about accessing a genuine state that already exists within you if you know how to find it. Think about something you already have that you once wanted. Maybe a car, a relationship that worked out, a job you got. Anything where desire became reality. When you think about that thing now, there's no charge around it. You don't anxiously check if it's still there. You don't desperately hope it doesn't disappear. You just have it. And having it is your default state. That feeling, that calm certainty, that's the frequency of manifestation. That's what you need to generate about things you don't have yet. Athletes use this principle instinctively. Before a game-winning shot, elite performers report feeling like they've already made it. They're not hoping or trying, they're executing something that's already done in their nervous system. Michael Jordan said he visualized game-winning shots so completely that by the time he took the real shot, it felt like a repeat of something that already happened. He was accessing the state of already having succeeded before he physically succeeded. Research on mental rehearsal in sports psychology confirms this. Athletes who visualize from a place of "I'm practicing this technique" show minimal improvement compared to athletes who visualize from "I've already mastered this" and "I'm just expressing it." The difference is state. One is hoping to achieve, the other is simply being who they already are. Same technique, opposite results, based entirely on the underlying state. I documented a case with a woman named Lisa who wanted to manifest her dream home. She'd been visualizing for 3 years with no results. I asked her to describe how she felt when she visualized. She said, hopeful and excited. That was the problem. Hope means you don't have it yet. Excitement about a future event means it's not present. She was reinforcing future tense, which keeps things perpetually in the future. I had her shift to past tense visualization. Instead of imagining walking into her dream home, I had her remember a time she walked through a house she loved. Then, take that feeling and attach it to random moments throughout her day. Making coffee, remember the feeling of home. Driving to work, remember the feeling of home. She wasn't future pacing, she was pulling the energy into present moment. Within 2 months, a property came on the market that wasn't publicly listed. A friend of a friend knew the owners wanted to sell quickly and privately. The price was under market value. Everything aligned perfectly. But here's what made it work. Lisa told me when she walked into that house for the first time, it didn't feel new or exciting. It felt familiar, like coming home to a place she'd already lived. That's because she had been living there energetically for 2 months. The physical reality just caught up to her energetic reality. This is how you practice the state of already having starting today. Pick one thing you're trying to manifest. Now think back to a time you manifested something similar, or felt a similar feeling about something you do have. Really get into that memory. Notice how your body feels, how you breathe, what your internal dialogue sounds like. That state is available to you right now because you've already experienced it. You don't need to create it. You need to access it. Now bring that exact feeling into this moment without attaching it to the future. Don't think about when your desire will manifest. Feel the feeling of having as if it's already done, and you're just living in that reality. Do this for 5 minutes daily, without any attachment to timeline or how it will happen. You're not manifesting, you're being. You're not trying to attract, you're embodying. The shift is subtle, but massive. Within weeks, your external reality will begin reflecting this internal state because reality has no choice. It's a mirror. It shows you what you are, not what you want to be. The most powerful technique I saved for last is what I call temporal collapse, and it's how you compress years of manifestation into weeks by existing in a state where past and future don't exist, only an eternal now where everything already is. Stay with me because this is about to get deep. Time is the final barrier between you and everything you desire. But time is also an illusion your mind creates that you can learn to collapse through expanded states of consciousness. When you exist fully in the present moment without mental projection into past or future, manifestation happens instantly because there's nowhere else for your desire to be except right here, right now. Quantum physics tells us that time doesn't exist the way we think it does. Past, present, and future all exist simultaneously in what physicists call the block universe theory. Your mind creates the illusion of linear time by focusing on one moment at a time, like a spotlight moving through a dark room. But the entire room exists whether the spotlight is on it or not. Your desire already exists in the quantum field. The only question is whether your consciousness is focused on the timeline where you have it, or the timeline where you're still waiting for it. Every moment you spend thinking about when your manifestation will arrive, you're choosing the timeline of waiting. Every moment you spend remembering when you didn't have what you wanted, you're energizing past lack. Both pull you out of the present moment, which is the only place manifestation occurs. This is why spiritual teachers across all traditions emphasize present moment awareness. Not because it's peaceful, though it is, but because it's the only moment where you have creative power. Neuroscience research on flow states shows that when people are completely absorbed in present moment activity, time perception distorts. Hours feel like minutes. Complex tasks that normally take days get completed in hours. Athletes, artists, and entrepreneurs report entering flow and achieving in one session what would normally take weeks. They've collapsed time by collapsing their awareness into pure now. In that state, there's no resistance, no doubt, no waiting, just pure execution and creation. I studied an artist named Michael who applied this to manifestation deliberately. He wanted to sell his artwork for high prices, but had been struggling for years. Instead of continuing to hope and wait, he started painting in flow states where he completely forgot about outcomes, sales, money, everything except the present moment of creation. He wasn't painting to manifest sales. He was painting from a state where nothing existed except color and canvas and movement. That state was pure creation energy, with zero attachment to future results. Within 3 months, a gallery owner happened to walk by his studio, saw his work, and offered him a show. His pieces sold for prices he hadn't dreamed of asking. But Michael told me something fascinating. When the sales happened, he barely felt excited. Not because he didn't care, but because he'd been existing in such a present-centered state that even success didn't pull him into future projection. He just thought, "Oh, that's nice," and went back to painting. That level of non-attachment is what allowed the manifestation to stabilize instead of creating new anxiety about maintaining it. Here's the practice that creates this temporal collapse in your daily life. Set a timer for 5 minutes. During those 5 minutes, your only job is to notice what's actually present right now. Not think about it, just notice. The feeling of air on your skin, the sounds in your environment, the sensation of your body breathing. Anytime your mind goes to past or future, gently bring it back to sensory present moment. Do this once daily. What you're doing is training your consciousness to exist in the only moment where you have power. As this becomes more natural, you'll notice synchronicities accelerating, opportunities appearing, manifestations occurring without effort because you're no longer energetically scattered across time. You're condensed into now, and now is infinitely powerful. The final piece that ties everything together is understanding that you're not trying to get something the universe has. You're remembering that you already are everything you seek, and the external manifestation is just a reflection of that internal recognition. Let me show you why this changes everything about how manifestation actually works. The biggest illusion that's keeping you from manifesting effortlessly is the belief that you're separate from what you want. You think you're over here, trying to get something from over there. But the deepest truth in quantum physics, mysticism, and direct experience is that there's no separation anywhere. You're not in the universe trying to manifest things. You're the universe manifesting as a human, having an experience of desire and fulfillment. This isn't philosophical word salad. This is literal truth supported by physics. Quantum entanglement proves that particles that were once connected remain connected regardless of distance, responding to each other instantly. You and everything you desire are quantumly entangled because everything emerged from the same source. The Big Bang wasn't an explosion in space, it was the emergence of space itself. Before that, everything was one thing. That oneness never stopped being true. Your eyes create the illusion of separation, but at the quantum level, separation doesn't exist. When you want money, you're not separate from money wanting itself to flow to you. When you want love, you're not separate from love wanting to experience itself through you. When you want success, you're not separate from success wanting to manifest through your unique expression. The desire itself is the universe calling itself home through you. Your job isn't to make it happen. Your job is to stop blocking it from happening naturally. Studies in consciousness research by Dean Redden at the Institute of Noetic Sciences show that focused intention can affect random number generators, suggesting that consciousness isn't contained in your brain, but is a field you're swimming in that responds to your state. You're not creating reality through effort. You're allowing reality to shape itself around your conscious state. The less you interfere, the more easily it flows. I worked with a man named Paul who spent 15 years trying every manifestation system with minimal results. He was exhausted from trying. I told him to stop all practices for 3 months. Just live. Just be. Stop treating the universe like a vending machine where you put in techniques and get out stuff. Start treating reality like what it actually is, which is your own consciousness in disguise. He resisted because it sounded like giving up. But he tried it. He stopped trying to manifest anything. He just existed as awareness watching life unfold. Something shifted. Opportunities appeared that he would have missed while desperately looking for different opportunities. A chance conversation led to a business partnership. An unexpected phone call led to a living situation upgrade. Money flowed in from forgotten sources. He wasn't doing anything to make these things happen. He'd just stopped blocking them with his desperate trying. His comment to me was, "It's like the universe was waiting for me to get out of the way." That's exactly what was happening. Your manifestations are like beach balls you're holding underwater. The moment you stop applying force, they pop up on their own. They don't need your effort. They need you to stop efforting. When you understand that you're not separate from what you desire, that the desire itself is the universe moving through you, the whole game changes. You stop trying to make things happen and start allowing them to happen through you. Here's your final practice that brings this all together. Sit quietly for 10 minutes. Don't try to manifest anything. Just feel into the awareness that's reading these words right now. Notice that this awareness has been here your entire life. It was here when you were 5 years old, when you were 20, right now. It's the only constant in your entire existence. Everything else changes, but awareness remains. Now realize that this awareness isn't yours. You are it, and everyone else is it, and everything is it. There's only one awareness looking through all eyes, experiencing through all bodies. When you rest in that recognition, even for a moment, you realize that there's nothing to get because you already are everything. From that recognition, manifestations pop into form effortlessly because there's no resistance, no separation, no one trying to get something from somewhere else. This is the ultimate paradox of intention. To get what you want, you must recognize you already are what you want, which makes getting unnecessary. But it's from that recognition of unnecessary that everything appears. The universe gives you everything when you realize you don't need anything because you already are everything. That's the secret they don't teach in manifestation courses. That's the truth that's been hiding in plain sight this entire time. Now, you have the exact understanding that dissolves the barriers between you and everything you've been trying to manifest. The question isn't whether this works. The question is whether you're willing to let go of trying to make it work and allow it to work through you. Every technique I gave you today, the gratitude anchor, the state reprogramming, the resistance work, the present moment collapse, they all point to one truth. Stop trying to get and start allowing yourself to be. Your manifestations are already done in the quantum field. Your job is to align your state with that reality, not through force, but through recognition. Stop checking if it's working. Stop obsessing over when it will arrive. Stop treating the universe like it's withholding something from you. You're withholding from yourself through resistance, through attachment, through the illusion that you're separate from what you desire. Subscribe and hit that bell icon if you want to keep learning about consciousness, manifestation, and the deeper truths that actually create reality. Drop a comment below telling me which of these concepts hit you hardest. Was it the quantum observation piece, the resistance protection, the temporal collapse, or the final recognition of non-separation? I read every comment, and your insights help me create better content for this community. Comment below one thing you're going to stop doing after watching this video. What manifestation technique, desperate behavior, or checking habit are you releasing right now? And what state are you choosing to embody instead? Share it with this community because your commitment strengthens everyone's practice. Before you go, like this video if it gave you a perspective shift. The algorithm rewards engagement, and every like helps more people discover these truths that can actually transform their lives instead of the surface-level manifestation fluff that keeps people stuck in perpetual wanting. You're not broken. Your desires aren't wrong. You've just been taught to chase them in a way that guarantees they run away. Now you know the truth. To get it, you must let it go. Not through giving up, but through recognizing you already are it. Everything you seek is seeking you. Stop running and let it catch you. That's how the paradox resolves itself.